weeks ago, you folks completed a really simple homework assignment where you did a very short research on a child of the Holocaust, and you developed sort of an identification card for him or her. What we're going to be doing over the next 2.5 weeks, we're going to be walking you through all the 60-plus children that were a part of this mini project. So in round number 2, you folks should have 2 items. One is that chart that's on the screen. It was a really simple 3-column, survivors, deaths, fate unknown. And the other item you should have is that biography of your child. You should have saved that. You should have placed it back into your raw notebook. All right, now how this is going to work, each day, beginning of the class period, we're going to walk through about 3, sometimes 4 or 5 children, and you're going to be writing down their name or a tally mark of where this child kind of rested at the end of that Holocaust period. So if they were a survivor, if they were a victim and they died, or if their fate was unknown or undetermined. So again, if you can, write the child's complete name down. Obviously, these names are not going to stay up for very long, so if you cannot find the name, you can't recall it, you can just write a tally mark or a check mark in whichever column fits them best. If your child shows up on the screen, if you could please stand for him or her, that would be nice as well. All right, our first child today is Nathan. All right, let's see what happened to Nathan. Unfortunately, he was a victim. He was shot to death in late 1940 by a German soldier at a ghetto gate where he and his family were a part of. He was 16 years old. Our second child today is Emmanuel. Okay. The Germans set up a sealed-off ghetto on April 30th of 1942. They forced an entire Jewish population, including Emmanuel, his sister Avia, and his mother inside the ghetto. It was overcrowded and lacked adequate food and sanitation. Between October 20th and November 1st of 1942, nearly all of the 20,000 Jews remaining in the ghetto were rounded up by the Germans and murdered. Emmanuel was 15 years old when he lost his life. And our last child today is Hans. Okay. On April 6th of 1944, when Hans was 10 years old, the Nazis raided his home. Most of the other children that were in his home and the counselors that were a part of it were sent to Auschwitz Death Camp on April 15th, and they were all murdered there. So unfortunately, all 3 of our children are victims of the Holocaust. They died as a result. All right, now don't close up your raw notebook, but I need you to go ahead and rewind to the table of contents. We're going to prepare our 6th entry. So the 6th entry, it coincides with entry 5, so it works with entry 5. Let me get that out of the way. Entry 6 is labeled Night and Communist. Again, it works with the entry that you folks prepared on Friday. It's really similar in the layout as well. Now, when you're ready to complete this entry, remember the entry from Friday, entry 5, you had to reserve one side of a page or reserve one page. So make sure before you prepare this entry, give yourself an additional page or side of a page because we still have to add to our 5th one. Okay, just like entry 5, round 6 has 2 pages, so a front and a back or side by side. The horizontal line for this one is actually about a quarter of the way down from the top of the page. So it's not going to be an entire half of the page. It's only going to be about a quarter. And it's going to be labeled Key Ideas and Details, just like Raw 5. What's nice about the text that we're reading today, there's only one kid cue. So that's why we have such a short space or minimal space, because we're only writing a response to one question. Right below that, we're going to have after reading prompts. There's going to be 3 of them, and they're going to take about a quarter sheet of space for each entry. So part A, Part B, and Part C. Once you've got this set up, you're going to want your Springboard open to page 173. That's where today's text is going to be at. If you don't have your entire raw entry 6 set up, don't worry, you're going to see all of these tables show up again. They're just going to be in a different format. So on Friday, we were revealed that this entire activity is looking at personal narratives or autobiographical narratives. So they're coming from first person. And the piece we got on Friday came from Elie Wiesel. He was a Jew during the Holocaust that was shipped to Auschwitz. He's one of the very few that survived. And his story was telling, prior to his experience at Auschwitz, how a member of his community was shipped to a death camp, survived, luck of fate, they thought he was dead when he wasn't, he ran away, and he tried to warn his people. And Elie was kind of retelling that tale to us. Now, the piece that we're reading today is poetry, and it comes from a man named Martin Niemöller. Now, what's interesting about Niemöller is that he was a German, so you would think he wouldn't be touched. He was a Protestant pastor, so he was not someone that celebrated the Jewish faith. He didn't practice it, but the reason why he became a victim, he opposed Hitler's policies. And remember, if anyone was in opposition of Hitler or the Nazi ideals, you were going to be shown that you were wrong. So he was taken to a concentration camp. He was fortunate enough to survive. And he wrote this poem in response to one of those time-old questions, how could this happen? How could people allow 11 million individuals to be slaughtered? So his poem is called First They Came for the Communists. It's a very simple piece. There's only 5 stanzas. It's one of those that kind of sticks with you, though, the way that it's worded. So I'm going to go ahead and read the piece aloud to you. You do not have to write in your text. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If you want to, you can. Okay, this is First They Came for the Communists by Martin Niemöller. When the Nazis came for the communists, I remained silent. I was not a communist. When they locked up the Social Democrats, I remained silent. I was not a Social Democrat. When they came for the trade unionists, I did not speak out. I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I did not speak out. I was not a Jew. When they came for me, there was no one left to speak out. All right, now we get to this kid cue, the only one that we have. It's a relatively simple one. Owen, could you read the kid cue for us?
How does each stanza contribute to developing sentences?
All right, I want you to discuss this with your family and get a response written down, and then we'll have a whole class discussion about it. So take, say, 2.5, maybe 3 minutes to talk it out and get a response written. Go for it. Every time I read this poem, I relate the word choice to something that seems completely off topic, but to the way a shark hunts its prey. That's how I think of this poem all the time. So the idea that, hey, a shark or another big carnivore, the way it goes after its prey, it kind of circles it, makes one big loop, it gets a little bit tighter, it gets a little bit closer, another step closer, and then it'll strike. That's kind of how I feel that this poem got worded, but how Springer said it was this impending doom. So what were some of the responses, ideas that you and your group mates thought of? What do you think, Michael?
The chart where it's slowly just getting lonelier, and then all of a sudden it's just all by himself. You know, lots of support.
Nice idea. Michael said each time he slowly gets less people around him, he becomes a little bit more lonely, a little bit more lonely, a little bit more by himself, and then there's no one. It's just him.
I feel like to add on to that, it's also like really suspenseful.
Oh, good point. Jordan says it's kind of really suspenseful, this idea of what's going to happen next. Who's going to be taken next? Good idea. All right, now, the next, after reading prompts, these A through C, you can talk them out with your family if you want. They're not really hard to do. Part A is having you think back to night along with our poem today. And asks you, how is the autobiographical narrative theme similar to and different from the poem? Now, if you get kind of stuck thinking where's the similarity versus where's the difference, I would suggest that you reread the last paragraph of Night and compare it to the last paragraph of First They Came for the Communists. The tones there are very different from one another, and that might help kind of catalyst an answer for you. All right? Let's take about maybe 3, maybe 4 minutes. If you want to, again, you can talk this out with your group. You don't have to, but you can. All right, go ahead. Okay, those of you that are ready, here comes part B. Part B, you can kind of bounce an idea off your group members, but it's something that you're really going to be doing when you get into the full-blown conversation. Really similar to what you did with entry 5. Examine and analyze the poem based on your job or role. So the discussion there, what questions would you pose to really get conversation flowing? As the artist, what illustration would you present? As the bridge builder, what kind of connection could you make between these two texts? Again, say about 3 or 4 minutes and we'll move on. So if you're ready for part C, because it looks like a handful of you aren't, part C is asking you to write about 2 to 3 sentences, so nothing super long or exaggerated. Explain how either text really fits into that theme of finding light in the darkness. You can choose one. If you want to discuss both, you can. But how does that idea of finding good in a bad situation, light in the darkness, fit into the text? Okay, if you're finishing up the writing, that's okay. For those of you that are ready, we're going to set up a last component of Raw 5. So I actually want you to go back to Raw 5, that side of the paper that you left blank, and we're going to set up this final piece for Raw 5. I'm going to have you turn your notebook or paper horizontally so you can work with the chart that I'm going to ask you to copy. So for Raw 5, this is part C of an after reading prompt. And I'm going to have you copy down a little note for yourself as to what the chart's going to have. It says what group members said. Now, the diagram that I'm going to be showing you on the screen, you do not have to make it that pretty, that exaggerated at all. In fact, I'm just going to say quickly get it. That way you don't waste a lot of time. Each circle is going to represent one of the 5 jobs or roles. It does not matter if you have multiple people in multiple roles, say 2 diction detectives or 2 bridge builders. You're just going to make sure to have those 5 circles to represent each role. And inside the circle, you'll write down a role type. Then you don't have to have colored circles. You don't have to have the arrows. That was just the diagram that I used from the software. you've got the 5 circles and you've written down the group roles, dead center, we're going to write knight and communist. That's going to be what your discussion is about, both of those texts. Now, the last little bit that's going to show up, it's optional. You don't have to draw it. I might, just as a memory of what I'm supposed to do with this page. There's going to be lines that appear next to each circle. And you should be writing notes of what group members are saying next to each circle. That's why I put the lines there. You don't have to, but it's not a bad idea if you tend to forget to do things when the conversation is happening. It's kind of your visual cue of, oh, I'm supposed to write what group members say. That's why I've got the lines there. Okay. Right now, the diagram isn't going anywhere at the next screen. It's just going to be smaller because it's going to say what we're doing next. So when the diagram is done, you folks are going to have more like a 12-minute discussion of both knight and they came for the communists. And your discussion is going to be based upon your role. And you already have somewhat of a script written for Part B of both Entry 5 and 6. So if you can't recall off the top of your head, what was I thinking at that time, you've already got the notes written down in Part B. You just have to take a look for it. So when you're having your discussion, based on your roles, about each text, you're going to make sure that you're taking notes on what the group members are saying. So you heard something really ingenious from your dictionary text, just quick scribble it down. Maybe the artist's representation, you really liked what they thought of, so you could write down, well, this is what they drew. Now, as a reminder, too, the screen that's going to stay up is this one. This is the organization of how a literature circle or group discussion should be held. So the order of who should be speaking, when, and what kind of information are you supposed to be pulling. But it's kind of a general rule of thumb. Every time each group or role individual speaks, everyone is supposed to comment on it. So you want to do your best to be watching your own time, because during the EA itself, I'm not going to be telling you, hey, you should move to the next person. I want you to start being able to do that time management on your own. So if you take a look at the clock, right now it's about 1:09. You folks have about 12 minutes here. So at about 23, we could say about 1:23 is when your discussion needs to be done, and you need to have taken care of that entire organization, that entire layout. Okay? So just like last time that you had a practice discussion, not for a grade, I walked around, I listened, and I was marking for challenges that your group was facing. Okay? This is the last practice that will not count as a quiz grade. But you are going to have another group discussion this week, and that one is going to be a quiz grade. So do your best. Not only is this being practiced, but really consider, okay, let's do our best. If we had to get a grade, what could we get here? All right? So when you're ready, the discussion leader is going to open up the floor. Make sure that your introduction includes what was read, who was the author of the piece or the pieces, and what's the purpose of the conversation. Why are you meeting together for today? All right, go ahead and get to your groups. You've got about 12 minutes.